We got an update in the case involving Tyree Nichols, the black man who was murdered at the hands of several police officers. Uh, so let's just get to it. Three former Memphis police officers were convicted Thursday in a 2023 fatal beating of Tyree Nichols, but were acquitted of the most serious charges they faced for a death that sparked outrage throughout the city and eventually around the country. The jurors deliberated for 6 hours, football coming back with the verdict for Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justice Smith. All were convicted of witness tampering related to the cover up of the beating, but Bean and Smith were acquitted of civil rights charges. Haley was acquitted of violating Nichols' civil rights, causing death, but were convicted of the lesser charge of violating his civil rights, causing bodily injury. He was also convicted of a conspiracy to witness tampering that the others were acquitted of. The court remained silent as the verdict was read. Well, yeah, the court is going to remain silent because the judge don't want no damn outburst in the courtroom. So of course the judge is going to, remain silent and all. So I mean, what did they expect? Like as soon as the verdict was read, people going to, start getting in the outburst, and then after that, um, judge gonna have people held in contempt and removed from the courtroom. Of course, they're going to have order in the courtroom. But anyway, the judges ordered all three officers to be taken into custody. He planned to hold a hearing on Monday to hear from the defense lawyers about releasing them pending sentencing. The witness tampering charge carried possible sentences up to 20 years in prison. The civil rights charge that was against Haley carries up to 10 years in prison. They had faced up to life if they were convicted on the more harsher charges that they were acquitted of. Now, the verdict marked a partial setback for prosecutors who were unable to land a conviction for civil rights violation for the two officers who played an active role in the encounter. Jurors repeatedly watched graphic clips from police video that showed the officers punching and kicking Nichols and hitting him with a police baton just steps from his house, as the 29-year-old called out for his mother. I mean, that's got to be, oh man, it is so jarring, and it's so heartbreaking to hear a man call from his mama before he gets killed at the hands of police officers. And the thing that makes it even more galling is the fact that you killed your own brother, the same skin color, over what? Now, where was you at when these funky white supremacists was running around here causing all kinds of havoc, huh? Where's you at then? And it's disgusting. It's really disgusting. Bean and Smith were seen on video wrestling with Nichols, holding his arms while also hitting him. But the jury was not convinced those actions amounted to civil rights violations. An FBI agent said Smith told him he punched Nichols, but the defense lawyer argued that Bean and Smith were merely slapping Nichols' hands away as they were trying to put handcuffs on him. Rodney Wells, Nichols' stepdaddy, told the AP outside the courtroom a win is a win, they all going to jail. 5 officers were charged in Nichols' death, but 2 pleaded guilty and testified against members of the old crime suppression unit. Wow. Y'all took a plea and then y'all testified against your own boys. So much for being on code there. So much for, the brotherhood, right? Y'all get y'all butt in the crack, and then y'all get the snitching on each other and pointing the fingers and all. Prosecutors argued that Nichols was beaten for running from a traffic stop, saying it was part of a common police practice referred to in officer slang as street tax or run tax. They said the officers lied to a supervisor, to medical professionals attending to Nichols, and in required written reports about the extent of the force they used. That's perjury. When you lie on a police report, that's perjury. So how come they got convicted for that? Now, lawyers for Bean, Smith, and Haley did not respond to requests for comment sent by phone, text, and email. Nichols ran from the traffic stop despite being hit with a pepper spray and a taser. The five officers, who were also black, were fired for the beating. Now, some of the most emotional testimony at trial came from one of the officers, Desmond Mills, who took a plea deal in which prosecutors called for up to 15 years in prison. He testified in tears that he was sorry, that he left Nichols' young son fatherless, and that he wishes he stopped the punches. So, hold on. Desmond Mills, ain't you got a kid? So you couldn't relate at that particular time what you were doing was wrong, and that. See, this pissed me off about this shit, man. You got your ass in the crack. You about to go to fucking jail. Now you want to cop a plea and say you're sorry? The fuck out of here. You got a man killed. Anyway. Later, he testified he went along with the cover-up in hopes that Nichols would survive and that the whole thing would blow over. Nichols died on January 10, 2023 after the beating. His son is now 7 years old. The other officer who reached the plea deal with prosecutors, Emmett Martin, testified that Nichols was helpless while officers pummeled him, and that afterward, the officers understood that they weren't going to tell on me and that I wasn't going to tell on them. Under his plea agreement, the prosecutors will suggest a prison sentence of up to 40 years. Defense attorneys sought to portray Martin as a principal aggressor. Martin testified Nichols was not a threat, yet he acknowledged punching and kicking him in the head. The police video showed the officers milling about and talking as Nichols struggles with his injuries. An autopsy report showed that he died from blows to the head, blunt force trauma to the head at that. The report describes brain injuries, cuts, and bruises on his head and other areas. With the federal trial complete, other investigations and court actions still aren't settled. So they're not even done with this yet. Now, the five officers also have been charged with second-degree murder in state court, which they pleaded not guilty, and although Mills and Martin are expected to change their pleas, a trial in state court has not been set yet. And U.S. Department of Justice, or the DOJ, is conducting a patterns and practices investigation into how Memphis officers use force and conducts arrests, and whether the department in the majority black city engages in racially discriminatory policing. How is it racially discriminatory policing when it's their own doing it? You got a case with 5 black police officers beat up and killed a fellow black man. So how could it be racially charged? Or how could it be a racially discriminatory practice? Anyway, the mother of Tyree Nichols filed a $550 million lawsuit against the city and the police chief. So she going after that bag. Now, I don't expect her to get no $550 million, but they will settle on something. Now, to what they settle on, that's a whole nother story. for another day. So, but yeah, this is heartbreaking, man. I remember when this story first came out, man, and the amount of outrage I had when it comes to stuff like this, right? Because let's face it, the cops are supposed to be held to a higher standard, right? But that only gets applied to when it comes to officers that are black or whatever like that, right? You guys killed your own brother over what? Or because he made you run? And now we supposed to feel sorry for you. We're supposed to be sympathetic towards you because you're about to go to jail for a long time. All of y'all. Just disgusting and it's unacceptable. So that is the pretty much the whole case right there. Um, guys, let me know what y'all think about this, man. This is beyond crazy. What's going on? And yeah, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Shouts out to the LDBC. This your man. Scream at me. Ho!